Hello everyone, welcome back to VALORANT Challengers North America Stage 2. Sierra, Van, Shift. I did point the right way, let's go.
Dude, how do you do it?
I honestly, I just took the 50-50 to work
I got
out,
it.
so that's perfect. We are on point over here. I would hope so, that we're all, you know, have the ball rolling halfway through our day, kicking it off with a strong Dobros victory. Now it's going to be TTR going up against MXS. And Shift, looking at these teams, I mean, we have all talked at length about these teams when we're looking at the list of our top teams here in Challengers, etc. These top players. These are two teams that get brought up quite a lot as a function.
Yeah, I think, you know, stage one we could categorize as we knew we were going to have M80, Oxygen Esports, and MXS as our top three. And all of a sudden, Turtle Troop entered themselves into the conversation kind of midway through stage one. They hold that through the midseason cup, and now they are definitely in that top four category that everyone's got their eyes on. Whereas for the other side, MXS, we know we're going to get here. I mean, these guys have been storied through and through. Core versus Turtle Troop, that's a thing we're looking at right now. But for MXS, you know, the thing is, those are guys that expect to win coming through. And I think the expectations of the community have also largely defaulted towards that. So I'm excited to see what these two teams have to offer for us as what should be a top four match between these two squads.
Yeah, and just to add up on this, maybe we're seeing the Core versus Turtle Troop, but that was the matchup last week, right? And I think that it's going to show that the competition stays fairly close because this was still a series that went into a 3-map series where Core brought this to the limit there. So as we have and entered a conversation of here comes a new challenger with TTR in a top 4, but like the gap between the top 4 and the rest is actually closer and closer. So I'm loving to see that. And especially when we just got to witness Dobros having a very decisive 2-0 victory against Core just previously, it comes to show that these teams have definitely found their groove all together. So it's very, very hard to even try to predict any of these games moving forward into stage 2. If I close my eyes or I try to think on top of my head, I really can't think of being like, except for this. We're at that point now at stage 2.
I mean, the real reason that MXS was left off with the roster graphic was because they're a team that don't need much introduction.
That is also
here.
very true.
There we go. Positive spin, right? But talking about this MXS team, I mean, this is... Oh, here we go. Okay, maybe they're a team that do need an introduction here, fans. My bad. But we're looking at this team, and both of these head-to-head. I mean, I feel like this is a series that really could just go either way. I think a lot of it's going to be coming up to individual performances on the day. We're going to be able to see pop off in these moments because I think regardless of that, these two teams are pretty matched with what they've shown us throughout stage 1 and the midseason cup.
It's always going to come down, at least the way that I see it right now in the conversation is like, why are Turtle Troops always going to be this underdog coming through? Because you've always seen, and you have seen a lot, if not most, and all of these players have that experience to play in like even tier 1 organizations in the past, right? Remember we did playing with Xset, Stellar, playing with 100 Thieves, Corey playing with FaZe, B-Dog and Adder having opportunities as well to play with top dogs, and unfortunately also B-Dog, I think was like Luminosity at some point, and unfortunately they haven't found an opportunity to find a new home going into like these seasoned and tenured organizations. So you're always going to think, okay, well maybe they're lacking something that doesn't allow for them to be as strong. But as a core, they look amazing as a group so far from stage 1 to stage 2. And now they have to play against the MXS team, where then on their side have been very good overall and have been fairly consistent throughout the first stage into the midseason cup.
Yeah, I think where we start to see a little lack of that consistency is where we kick off series. A little slow to start sometimes, and we got to see that kind of flag them a couple of times. Even this game against Dobros, this is obviously an improved Dobros. We just saw how they played in that last series, but it was a series that did have to go 3 maps here, but really once we got into this map 3, Mata absolutely popping off here, Shift, and we got to see a lot of the individual prowess coming out of team members, really showing why this team has that reputation that they do of these strong individual players.
Yeah, I mean, that is always, and I think I said this last week, it's one of those situations that when we're dealing with our top 4 teams, you start to see some differences start to pop up. And in particular, it often comes down to the duelist diff. And we definitely saw a lot of that over the course of stage 1, with Mata in particular, but it continues to be the case here in stage number 2. He just has the, at any given moment in time, ability to take over a game. And I think that takeover potential not that, you know, a top team needs it, but the simple fact is that they have that. It just makes everything else so easy. I mean, it's easy to set plays up of like Mata's, he finished plus 25 overall on the whole series for that best of 3. It's like when he's fragging like that, he went 17-7 in first kill death ratio, which is unreal. So the fact that that exists, you just say, Mata, go kill things, and he says, all right, bet, I got you. And that turns into your whole playbook, which is a scary sight.
I think it's scary too when you have a duelist that is fragging that much that is also just having a blast doing it. I mean, I got to talk to Mata after their victory last week and was like, hey, is this fun or stressful? Because I think it did come down to a couple of these plays, these kills that Mata was getting to be able to make sure that MXS did take this map. It was very close in the end. But it's like, yeah, no, I'm having a blast. And I think we get to see that out here on the field. I think Vans on Ascent alone ended up with 33 kills at the end of it. I mean, terrifying stuff if Mata gets going.
That's the thing. And I also remember in that interview, I think he said like he was feeling it, but at the same time, maybe the scoreboard didn't really showcase that as an overall score as a team. But it almost felt, and now I'm paraphrasing, that he felt like the game was so easy for him that he could just move freely wherever he wanted to. So very similarly to what we mentioned before in that previous broadcast, when players like Riku or anybody else or Drone is like feeling it and you could just let them loose and let them do what they need to do, then you'll definitely just see them pop off in these moments. And you don't really need to like rely too much on like the macro or whatnot or whatever. Just make sure you set up players like Mata once they find a groove and once they find an opportunity to really fight this back against their opponents. It was only a 13-11 victory that they got against who was it? Dobros, that is, on Ascent, but yet he still dropped so many frags here to make sure that he was carrying his teammates over to a victory that was much needed for them to continue this conversation of being a top dog here in Challengers.
Even when Dobros, like, there was once where Mata was stuck in wine and they're throwing everything they got at Mata, and he's stayed alive, I think, throughout the entire thing. It was just some crazy stuff. It was tough for them to stop him. I'll have to see if Turtle Troop, they have what it takes going on into this week. Considering, too, this Turtle Troop squad is one that continues to impress throughout Challengers. I mean, there's the hashtag sign TTR for a reason ship. Like, this team, they work so well together. And even if there is a couple of rough maps, because again, this was a weird series last week where we did see a showing from one map, being able to innovate and bring out new ideas, I think I've been a really big fan of when it comes to this Turtle Troop.
Yeah, and that's the impressive part, considering that there's no organizational structure or support behind them. It's just the 5 guys going out and doing the thing. But, you know, the thing is, outside of their compositional change-ups that they've thrown, in particular that beatdown on Vine that they had given Core last week, I was actually really impressed with their ability to be efficient when it mattered most on this icebox. It definitely felt like it was one of those games, I think that the words I used was, things were unpredictable, like the way things were looking like it was trending towards going to like one side or the other. All of a sudden, someone just bounces back and finds a couple of key kills and turns around their way when it looked pretty much unwinnable. And I think that says a lot about the ability for Troop to just continue to fight back and not let rounds get out of hand, which it looked like at times they were subject to, especially considering what the first map looked like for them. But their bounce back in map number 2 in dominating form, and then their ability to close out that icebox were really impressive in terms of the resiliency and the composure that this team brings without having that same support system that a lot of other squads do here in Challengers.
I mean, little spoilers if you saw the graphics here, but Vance, we got to be talking about Stellar and mainly the difference that he's able to be making in this IGL role, because we got to see some great calling last week from both squads coming out. Cora, they definitely left everything they had on the table, but Stellar able to just stay a beat ahead.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where, like, for me, the stats that comes down on this player is not really on how, you know, how he's able to frag or how much damage he does. I mean, he has some great plays that he's able to still pull out of the hat, and when he needs to step up, he will. But in terms of how he's able to call for this team overall and think on the fly against the brawl that he had against Core was so good. And remember, the fakes that he threw on the piss around on Bind, the fake that he threw with the wingman on Icebox, these are the things that, you know, that I'm pogging about, because you don't see that too much when you have geckos in your team. Geckos on your team, the first thing you think about is, or you're not going to use util because you're something over at Paper X and you're still going to make it work, or you're just going to have a wingman and just plant and defuse every single time and not run fakes, not clear corners with it. And I loved how Stellar was able to leverage that agent on Icebox, and also leverages his teammates to use that on Vine as well. So I think that this type of calling and Turtle Troop as a whole gives us a chance here to really make this a very close game and a tough game to call on who might pull through against these guys or MXS today.
It'll be really exciting, because the more I look at this, the more that I really don't have any idea how this one's going to go. It's going to be an exciting matchup for sure. And all good things you got to wait for. We're going to be taking a quick break to resolve a player issue, but after that, we'll get into the maps and then the map up. Don't go far.
Bye.
came through with it again. They know that I got spirit with a pen. Don't know why they try to compete when they know that in victory it's never gonna end. Them and a week, that's why they could never speak. They ain't like me, I take it to the peak. Different type of steeds that I breed. Wheel up on the mic, they won't get one of these. Please, I don't wanna hear no talk from them. I don't wanna see nothing at all from them. They can't do it like me. So all I wanna see really is a round of applause from them. Vibes in the air, we caused it again. Life isn't fair, but we rode it again. All of my teams being ready for the war, there's no warning for them. Tell them again, I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We look, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We look, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again. Tell them 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 again. I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We look, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again.
about time to get it. It's about time, not forget it. It's about time. Never gonna get up, never give it up now. Never gonna stop now. Whoa, you roll with me. Whoa, you roll with me. was taught to hustle through the pain. Mind, body, and soul, without each what will I gain? So many try to use me when I help pave the way. But man, that's just life, there ain't really much to say. I'm the one, I know I'm the one, everybody follow me. The one they all trying to beat, I know that I gotta be. I've been training hard, I'm ready for any rivalry. I lost it all but kept the fight in me. Now look, I've been laying low, but speak on me and I'ma show up. My squad full of bosses, can't let anybody hoe us. Yeah, my life is sweet, I got the whipping doing donuts. Wanna live like me, well here's the contract you ain't know of. I signed up to grind, I signed up to be the best, man. Chin up when I hustle, I can't focus on the next, man. They said that I gotta work, I said, oh yeah, I'm on it. Cause when it's said and done, we gon' see who really want it. Yeah, who really want it? Who really want it? Yeah, I'm getting better and better and only focus on cheddar. Who really want it? Yeah, who really want it? Who really want it? Yeah, I'm working hard and I show 'em. When out the water I blow 'em. Who really want it?
Who really want it? It's really the question of the day. Y'all talk a lot, but I don't see y'all walk a lot. You know?
Fighter is my name, legendary is my aim. Already legendary, y'all know that we ain't the same. Whether sun or rain, ain't nobody else to blame. The life I live is mine, so I control the change. Tell me that I'll lose, tell me y'all don't see my vision. Tell me that I'm no one and I got some competition. I'ma show you what it looks like when you never listen. Open your eyes and pay attention. I'm on a new level. Hell no, I can't settle. Gonna be the best and I'ma show more than I tell you. I am not impressed because you got a little metal. I'm here to take you down and bring the heat like I'm the devil. I can show you light, yeah, I can show you heaven. I can show you how to win when you think that you're failing. What I tell you, yeah, you gotta work, yeah, you gotta be on it. Cause when it's said and done, we gon' see who really want it. Yeah, who really want it? Who really want it? Yeah, I'm getting better and better and only focus on cheddar. Who really want it? Yeah, who really want it? Who really want it? Yeah, I'm working hard and I show 'em. When out the water I blow 'em. Who really want it?
face.
through with it again. They know that I got spirit with a pen. Don't know why they try to compete when they know that in victory it's never gonna end. Them and a week, that's why they could never speak. They ain't like me, I take it to the peak. Different type of steeds that I breed. Wheel up on the mic, they won't get one of these. Please, I don't wanna hear no talk from them. I don't wanna see nothing at all from them. They can't do it like me. So all I wanna see really is a round of applause from them. Vibes in the air, we cause it again. Life isn't fair, but we rode it again. All of my teams being ready for the war, there's no warning for them. Tell them again, I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We look, you never got one of them. Top of the pound yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We look, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again. Tell them 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 again. I ain't here to make up no friends. I just came through yet again. We look, you never got one of them. Top of the pile yet again. They can't stop this child not again. Reigning champ, I won't lose it. So you know I'm gonna win that again.
Hello, everybody. This has been a weird day. Something about Isle Shift being on a Valorant Challengers broadcast. We go through delays like this, and we find ourselves back in the action. So the end-all, be-all was Whedon's power went out. They now were to try to fill the spot, unless they had to forfeit. They filled the spot with Raucous. They try to get set up, and then Whedon's power comes back. So, right,
as we're about to start. If you don't drop 30 every single map, you owe me a poutine. I'm going to put it like that.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Can you send one to the States too, my guy?
Yeah, but I think it might perish through the amount of days it's going to take to travel to you. Has to go through customs too, no?
Let Charlotte Airport figure that out. Here's our picks and bans.
Exactly.
Interesting set overall, honestly. I mean, the Breeze being banned out by Troop makes a little bit of sense, considering how good Moist has looked in the past, even though Troop is obviously not bad at it, at least based on their history. The Ascent and Lotus being banned out, though, I would say is generally not bad, not good news for Troop. Again, I said this last week when we were casting. It's just, it feels like every time that Troop are in a winning series, one of those two maps comes through. So they'll go back to the bind that they smoked core on, and then Sunset will be there, which is kind of a neutral map, I would say, between these two teams after that.
I'm kind of down for it, though, because banning Ascent kind of just makes sense. TTR is very good on that. They're the ones that are at the forefront of this deadlock meta, at least for challengers. But Bind, there was a nice little Sage that came out last time TTR played it. It anteed the default composition that we see on Bind. Maybe there's some tape coming through from MXS to let that float, but also Moist like Shopify never pulled out Sunset throughout this whole Challenger. So the last time they played it was during the Ludwig and Tarek Invitational, pretty much, and we're still testing things out. I think I remember an Astra in that composition. So that means that they're finally practiced out with something on this map that maybe could throw TTR off guard, because TTR themselves have been trying to figure out that map, right? Pulling out a deadlock themselves for some maps here and there, but you know, we'll get there when we get there, because that's a guaranteed second map in. As you look at this agent select, it's exactly that, right? Turtle Troop bringing out B-Dog on the Sage, not putting him on a Brimstone, putting Stellar out on a Fade, and it looked pretty good. They had great ways to, you know, deny any post-plant utility being used on the attack when they had to play the retake. The Sage Wall boosts on the attack were really good. Didn't see too many of those on the defense, but it was very disruptive on not allowing here their opponents to take map control. So, or you're going to have to tempo up very quickly here for MXS, or you're just going to have to work the map where the Sage Wall isn't on this side, where, of course, for their side, that was the meta comp that I was talking about, the basic one that we currently see these days. Sentinel-less composition, allowing for you to add more utility, more deniability as well, but it just allows for you to be a little bit more proactive on taking sites. And you know what? Because you're pedaling too quickly into the sites, you don't have to worry about the flanks too much, because usually the flanks will happen through TPs, and that's already the audio cue for you to kind of know. So the only really thing you have to worry about is on A side hits. If you're not hearing any of those TPs, then that's when the paranoia settles in, and you have to start watching Sand's flank, short A flank. But we finally made it. We're in
Finally
pistol
made
round.
it. Finally made it. Man, the momentum just killed after that first series, so I'll tell you what.
Yeah!
No! Absolutely not! Pain.
What'd you just say about momentum?
Yeah, we're good. It's fine. They baited us. Those absolute jerks. All right,
we
let's get into
good
it.
or we did?
Well, we'll find out. Here we go. MXS on the offense, Troop on the defense. Again, kind of talking about it, the presence and the pestering nuisance that is the Sage at times was great news for B-Dog when they had played this last week. But for MXS, a tried and true composition that they have found some great success on in their own right. Definitely one of the stronger maps for Moist Shopify. So we'll be interested to see kind of the unmovable object meets the unstoppable force.
And that's where it gets annoying. Quad wall up towards showers, orb control by TTR. And we did. There you go. Redemption. Off the delay gets first blood in this series, and Flower trades it out.
Oh, but Adder does get pushed back into the octagon, and initially, Brock had a little bit of trouble dealing with B-Dog, but the kills do come through as they're needed. Get into a 3v2 as the numbers will change hands over to MXS's favor with post-plant. And even though Stellar may have been able to maybe find a timing to peek through hookah, the smoke denies that, and now we have to wait for a pinch from Corey.
And he used util already too, so I like the pivot from MXS. 3 players just to focus towards spawn. Core is just waiting for Stella to find something, and as he realizes that the site's open, this is going to allow Core to get ready here for the battle that ensues towards the back of the site, and there you go. First contact, double swing. Good swing coming out from MXS.
Yeah.
And that's Stellar in a 1v3. Look at that. He's playing Diabolical, jumping outside the window. Quick movements, moving out close to the back spawn. G2 Classic. And it stops there.
Now Brock can just hold this angle. Yep, absolutely. Too much to ask for Stellar. Gives it a decent try, but yeah, the pistol recovery for MXS, I think a lot of that just comes down to the fact that Flya steps through that smoke again and just kind of forces the second engagement after the first blow doesn't go their way. Really well done for MXS to take the site.
And now with the buy round coming through, MXS is going to bring out the big guns. Already Motto with an outlaw. Control towards the long side of B. I wonder if the Vandal is going to be... Yeah, the Vandal's moving with him. So it's passive showers control again. Maybe thinking that there's going to be another Sage Wall or whatnot. But it might be towards this B side with a stack of players trying to fight against the Outlaw. Dizzy with the goop. There's the swing.
I mean, why are you still peeking into an Outlaw? You know it's there.
Yeah, feeling confident.
Yeah, feeling something. The classic. Bold, to say the least. Mosh comes through. Boombot in towards this back garden position. Does not connect, though. Stellar catches a couple of the players off guard because that Boombot actually doesn't bounce in correctly. So 1-for-1 exchange, but Wingman will get to work on the plant, and the post-plant setup will be all the way over towards Octagon.
And now the basic stuff happens for the rest of TTR. Just hold back towards the spawn. Dive to the spike. Right now, Brock's already 2 away from an ult. So I think you're going to let that Vandal go. Chase with the Ghost or something. Actually, these are pretty strong weapons to leave behind into the next round. So I think it might be a little bit of a silver lining for TTR in this post plant. You'll let them go here and die to the spike. Oh, no, they're still going to do it. Drop in the Ghost, drop in the Outlaw, drop in the Bulldog, rather.
I like this.
Brock's going to try that one. There it is.
Enemy remaining.
Well done. I love that call. I mean, why not, right? Love it. Little
Really
step
well
up.
done.
Troop gonna get denied what they were intended to do, and with that, Thrash has already earned a round 3. I will have to say, it was much Gecko as we're starting to see. There's surely got to be an extra orb added to Thrash in the near future. You have to think.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. There's going to be
It's
some
just too
tweaking.
quick. It's too
There's going to be some tweaking for sure. Because already with the bust that we gave to Gecko recently here with the instant pickup, 10-second cooldown, it allows for you to be fairly proactive with a Gecko in your composition. So allowing a Thrash to get so much out of that,
Yeah.
when you can pivot so much and get orb control the way that you can. I mean, look how quick this goes against the gun round from TTR here.
Yep. Trailblazers on one side, Thrash on the other. Clears
Sees
out
misses.
Hookah and over towards Elbow, just a touch. Dizzy over the top. Chance to contest this if Troop want to try to make a play from Elbow, but it is being held. And the first contact over through Hookah, won by the Stinger. We did counters through the smoke, so he stayed 4v4. Prowler denied immediately by Otoshima. And that was right in his face, legitimately. But Flya, his whole focus is over towards the front doors. He's got teammates supporting him over towards the elbow side. Nice shot from Otoshima, make that 2. And now the Outlaw does what it does best. B-Dog, last one left, can do nothing, and it's a bonus round tally for MXS.
And unfortunately, you saw that they were a little bit too spread out on trying to get the buddy system to trade instantly the way that they did. With the first being picked off at low HP, that was added just around the corner, but it seems Stellar was a little bit too tucked in to try to be able to swing out on the other one, and you saw that one for one after the other, rather, like lemmings for the rest of TTR running through that door. So easy kills for MXS, converting here their bonus round into a very good, strong start on the first half of this map. Only Stellar is going to have a stinger here, and I like how they entered the site, right? The satchels that came out from Mata basically avoided the C's being thrown. That was TTR what they're good with when they're actually adding this pressure and denying this push on that B site. But at least now you're going back into the basics of your eco round, investing into the Sage Wall to get the res up as soon as possible, and trying to see if you can actually control both extremities of these orbs, actually, while MXS will have an easier plant now towards A.
Yeah, I mean, the round is, you would think a little bit more hard pressed to come through, so you're spending some utility just to get the orbs and get closer towards ultimate economy in your next buy, which will give them a little bit of an advantage. So it's a macro play from Droop. Mata trying to see if he can bait out a peek over through the shower side. That's a defensive smoke that comes down. Fly is also on the long pinch through shower here as a pixel peek from Mata has not revealed much of anything at the moment.
Just got a
Up
share
high
for
on
the
bench
two.
is Corey, but B-Dog and Corey have done well to stop this plant from happening. Now the defense is here.
Yeah, and Weeded has one more smoke to work with. As they're still continuously tapping, what they need to do right now is not delay and let this plant happen so that Weeded could actually go for that flank. If not, they just TP and the whole rotate is canceled out. So they're going to let that go and maybe just pivot in after.
Man gets shut down. There's Fly off the flank as all the action gets pulled back over again towards that front side at A. Fly turns that into 3, no worries. Also, Avid on the flank. Otoshima keeps Weeded at bay, and no worries. It took a while. A little bit of, you want to come play? No, not yet. How about again? No, not yet. Finally, it's the Dizzy call that comes through that allows Fly to make the play over, knowing the defense is looking to actually challenge.
Exactly. That was the other thing, too. While Weeded was flanking on one end, you had Flare flanking on the other. So the timing worked perfectly. You saw those pings come through at the end, too, saying, oh, we forgot that there was a potential that you actually had another flanker coming in after the amount of times that you tapped the spike and have not committed into a plant. Everybody was at a stalemate until, unfortunately, the better weapons here for MXS on that flank from Flya just allowed for them to get a very clean flawless and continuing to build up the money for this round. And they're trying to see if they're going to, after this wall, to pick up orb and break the wall so that they can try to get a surprise off into long B. But instead, MXS are going inside shower, or sorry, inside hookah. And showers at gate late.
Yeah. Well, things for Troop need to start turning here, especially with Corey on an operator. You know what his potential is. Changes the defense also pretty convincingly in terms of the setup. You talked about, again, the early orb presence that has been a priority for both these two teams in their first matches. And with the Seekers at the ready, it looks like MXS, they may just commit off of using this to search out how many players are here at B. Yeah, that's exactly the case. And they're going to maybe follow this up just a touch with the Trailblazer.
It works.
See who is involved. And yeah, you see the Sage and you say, okay, if there's no Sage today, I think it's time for us to go.
Well, it's working for the fake too, because they already pulled out the Dizzy and the Gecko to deny any type of plant until Weighted comes in with a nice shot. But it uses the Molly for, okay, he banks it out, so that's going to delay it even more. So there's that first wave to delay. They still have paint shells.
First blood for B-Dog. Adder also controls through showers up top. Mata only gets one of what needed to be at least two. Wingman defensively starts to push on out. Also the teleport heard from behind, but yeah, really well done here for Troop. Initially, it looked like the Seeker's call was going to be an easy go button, but yeah, the defenders on the site hold strongly. And more than that, they hold off the first blood. They also hold on to showers. That's massive for Troop to get on the board.
Yeah, and that's why you have to try to deny and delay or force out the util to come out very early for TTR so they have less in these moments. You already see it from the last round, from the eco into the next round. They are committing a lot of these defensive smokes right where the default spot is. So when it comes down to the amount of util that's done, then you're probably expecting TTR to start spraying inside that smoke or just running it through, especially if they're able to run that clock down. And they will continue to be able to do so because they have an orbital strike and a thrash here, but Weeded's playing a forward position.
Weeded just kind of holds himself in the cubby. There's also the first one for Corey. That will work out nicely. 2 for 1, the opening exchange. Things not done here yet, though. Through the smoke, Weeded's able to find the barrel of one. Weeded! Okay, Troop has started to wake up. Huge response through mid, spike down, and Vix on the other side of the map.
He's trying to make me forgive here, Weeded. Those are some nice aggressive pushes coming through. And that's why he's playing a Phantom. You're seeing him playing very, very close to his smokes in. MXS has another layer to think about when it comes down to their attacking sides. This time, the first time that they see the aggression coming out from the Thrash in the off position. But there was a lack of util to try to maybe flush out Weeded in that corner of the pocket in the first place. It was only just a body peeking out, coming out from Mata. And you saw the other ones got caught a little bit off guard here from their positioning because of the rest of the util that followed behind. But all that, great plays from TTR. We're going to be able to salvage this round here unless Vic goes all the way back through spawn and tries to get a couple of picks. But
yeah, you save here. You have to.
They got money.
But
yeah, they got money. If they're able to hurt the economy on the side of TTR, especially with the op invested that they knew from the previous round. Brock's the only one that probably would have a buy from Vic, but now it's going to be that safe situation after all.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
10 seconds left.
Doesn't really feel like there's a reason to give too much of a concern towards the exits or trying to find kills here. Everyone's going to be fine to buy pretty much in the next round anyway. So good second round in a row here from Troop. The teammates in the first, and it's just Corey traded out over to that big battle over to the middle. I mean, you can see how deep he got on where his blue X is in the middle of the map. So really good stuff for MXS to start, but Troop starting to establish some trends and patterns of their own here with their full buy.
Yep. And right now it's nice that TTR here, their patterns are was supposed to be baiting out a couple of these shots and getting early information from the Sage walls, but I very much like that they were proactive here on that round number 6, just to catch the players of MXS off guard, not allowing them to continue to snowball the lead that they had. Because if you look at the start from the pistol round, it did seem pretty cold on the side of TTR, and it just makes sense, right? I mean, you're in a situation where you were going to bring a sub, you're not going to bring a sub, and then you have to force yourself to get some fast pings and get into agent select, choosing all that kind of stuff when, you know, that was your main focus. Well, MXS, all they had to do was just sit back and just wait for it to happen, and the shots weren't as the cleanest there for TTR in the pistol round. But we're starting to see the warm-up very, very quickly from the side of the defense. We did landing some amazing shots, very clean with it so far and anchoring towards this B site. And if MXS off this timeout are going to decide to work back towards B, then they have to understand here as well what they try to do for the delay on the side of TTR, to use a lot of the C's usually towards this site. You see these pings moving in very aggressively towards short. They might try to go for that haunt or a C's or something like that with a showstopper or a C's nade.
Well, you can see the respect for MXS. They know that that's also a possibility, and they are holding off pretty deeply just to make sure there is no burst through mid. Prowler will scout things out. Not much to be seen, not much to tally. And everything will just essentially pause and reset here. B-Dog anticipating some pressure, is holding onto the slow orb, and that will stop any follow-up off the boom bot. Mada still holding the corner. What in the name of heaven was that shot for B-Dog? Just a little, let me see if I can find something, and wouldn't you know, it's a headshot through the edge of the wall.
Yeah, and you see it as he continues to jiggle and goes for the shot. It's been a pre-fired angle the whole time. And now he can delay 2 stage walls, a wall up, bait himself out. A one and done at this spot. Oh, just got gooped.
Yeah,
Thought he had a timing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing you can do from that point. Couple of the pre-fires on the wall bank just to see if anyone's still on top of that barrier. Not to be. So MXS, I'm sure I'm going to not be happy to have Mada drop so quickly, but they at least get it back to a 4v4. Problem is, it's only 40 seconds left. And they still need to find entry.
Actually, Flyout did it on purpose to get himself spotted here by the Haunt, so they can hopefully keep those players at bay towards the A site. So all of MXS now pivoting, the rest of them getting ready for a B site hit. But remember, there's so many ults right now in the defense. The more time you're wasting, the more this is going to be around for TTR.
Nightfall gets used over just for Hookah. Thrash not able to fully get in towards sight, so it has to come from the 1v1. Orbital Strike also going to pause this just a touch. Your spike is held behind this. Showstopper's also out, but Odashima doesn't get seen. He has to open up the site. Teleport back over towards A, gets entry, and there will be enough time to get the plant off. And on the meantime, the lurk is good, plus the re-entry over. Corey tries to save the round with at least one op shot, but I mean, a 1v4, still 3 more to find. Well, if he hits that one, there maybe is a better chance at it, but now it's just get the op and try to save it.
I thought it was at least a wall bang at that point, but yeah, it's going to be a safe scenario once again. And I think there was a little bit of miscommunication. Almost, you saw that orbital strike come down right in front of Octagon. It almost felt like We Did was trying to book it so they could try to at least get into a radius to hit the orbital strike onto Brock that was inside his Thrash. But when that happens and now you're just trying to delay instead, you eliminated the value of Corey coming out from the TP with the showstopper to try to delay even more. So if you, all those ults that were so good here for delaying at the final seconds, being that orbital strike, now allows a chance for MXS to just pivot on the fly.
Yeah.
Off of that, this should have been again that second one when B-Dog died by the hands of the attack there. It seems like the Dizzy, he thought that it was going to ping him on the first time. I was like, oh wait, I dodged it, and then I was like, oh wait, it's coming back, and then he started moving and then got caught. He had a great opportunity if he stayed tucked in to potentially get a second pick there.
Well, MXS wiggle one back, still in a full buy situation. Ultimate's a little bit less numerous going into this next round. The most important here for either side would be the resurrection for B-Dog and then the showstopper for Mada.
Feels like he had that for a while.
Yeah, he hasn't had an opportunity to pop it yet. But maybe here, and yep, that's to be the case. And wow, a showstopper off the wall hits on Corey. Resurrection trying to come through, but Vic is right there to pick up on both members. So well executed here by MXS. Troop still trying to hold on to the back of the site, but not going to be able to. And yeah, that burst execute just works out flawlessly.
Yeah, I think this might be a call for a timeout at this point for TTR. You haven't really had a chance to really set foot in the server and really get your bearings together. And that type of res and getting instantly punished by Vic, that just shows that they're not on the same page in terms of coordination right now and how they're trying to play against MXS's very nice hits, by the way.
Yeah.
Just Seekers with a showstopper, or a flash with a showstopper, should I say, and it was just perfect there for Mada to take full control, knowing that initially when they threw the Dizzy, nobody shut it off for Corey. Corey couldn't really dodge it, so he got the goop there, knowing that he was playing on the top of the APC. And they also know that Corey saved the op from the previous round, so it was just a nice little read for a pop for them to take it down. And Natter has 5 seconds now to try to save his weapon. About to get pushed forward by Vic, and he'll be able to save it.
I was just a bit surprised at that showstopper. It looked like off the wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hits Corey inside of U-Haul?
Sometimes it hits you for 400 damage. Sometimes it hits you for 2. Today,
Yeah.
400 damage.
Yeah, 4,000 damage through the wall. Good grief. And I'm not crazy, right? Like, that seemed like it definitely should not have connected for a full kill. But here we are.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
That's so true, though. It does seem like sometimes it hits for you for 4 damage. That's so valid.
Yep. Shout out to Rockus, by the way. I see him in the chat. He was the one that they were supposed to replace or sub in for if Weeded can get his power back. So shout out to him to be able to be on around and be able to help out whenever his friends need him the most.
He's so
Corey
talented
and Rock,
handsome.
yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%. experience as a coach for Sentinels back in that 2022 era or 2021. FaZe Clan, we always remember that. The Schmieg.
That FaZe Clan roster was iconic.
Yep. Dude,
For
they
maybe
almost
all of the both best and worst reasons.
yeah, I mean, at this point, and as we have a technical pause, let's talk about podcasts actually. And if you guys never really checked it out, there's a cool podcast with Frost and Baby Bay, that covers a little bit about the VCTs, but you're getting a lot of behind the scenes and the thought process behind a good coach and an ex-pro player being Baby Bay, and just having the conversations around. They were saying Frost realized that Schmieg style of trying to elevate one player to be like your all-star, to get all the picks and whatnot, and coined as the quote-unquote Schmieg, it's still very prominent in the VCTs today. And he realized that when he was playing against a team like, for example, PaperX, because that's basically Jing when people are satchelating through like that. Like at EG, on how Jogimo creates so much space from his dashes and also his satchels, and it's just a lot of util that goes behind it to support. Leviathan is a lot of that as well. Calm and everybody else is trying to support Aspas to push everybody across the finish line. So they were at the forefront of a meta that basically was kind of like Kaplan back then with the Stinger meta, where nobody really realized that in the first place, and now it's so good. And then Josh RT, for example, with the half shield buy. So there's been so many good precursors, and now becomes like a meta today that you're gonna have to like at least tip your hat off for, the ones that tried in the first place. So despite the Schmieg almost being a meme at that point in the era of North America for 2021, it was also almost a roster and almost a style that won the Masters 1 when it was North America only, right? The online era of Masters. So, I mean, it's cool that we're seeing it prominent today, and I think people are going to have a look back and start showing a little bit more respect into that style, and seeing the value of like Rock is, seeing the value of Zachary, of Baby Bay, and even Corey now to get back towards that.
Long history.
Yep.
Well, we cannot get away from tech pauses, you and I.
But it was a nice little story, wasn't it? It was a nice little story.
It was a nice little trip down memory lane.
And it was perfect, because now we're back.
Very appropriate, the 4-year anniversary coming through recently.
That is also very true. Happy birthday, Valorant.
Indeed. Happy birthday, indeed. It's wild. It's actually wild. That's been 4 years. I remember casting the beta tournament for Built by Gamers in April of that year.
Yeah.
Wow, that felt like yesterday.
I think my first event was like Nbox or even in the Pittsburgh Knight themselves. So shout out to the Knights.
Boys, yeah, dude. Wow.
Yeah. But we're back. We have an op in the hands of Corey, so the rifle we were able to save previously allows for them to still have an op this round. Corey maybe forced. Oh, loved the little bait, but unfortunately an overpeak and a big read by Flya to catch Corey on a repeak, and already a 3-on-5 disadvantage for TTR. Oh, they're trying to save. Vada's on the hunt.
Yeah, and why not? If you're feeling yourself, get an extra one. No worries
like last
whatsoever. And, well, everything's turning out really nicely here for MXS on the start. And Troop, not what you want to see. Down 7-2. About to go into a save, probably, most likely. And this is your map pick. A map that you dominated core on, but MXS just feel like a different beast right now. And this was my worry. I talked about it last week. It's like, how many series wins for Troop can you count where they don't play either Lotus or Ascent? And those have been so good for them. But adding in a third or fourth map has been a bit of a struggle at times. You know, we talked about their agent swap-ups here and there.
Yeah.
It's just like, it doesn't feel like they're finding comfort yet in terms of what they want to do across maps that are not those previously aforementioned ones.
Well, that's the thing. But when you think you found success last week, though, against Core, you might want to try to bring that again this time around, right? Against MXS, because why not? It's supposed to be against the same comp, a very similar play style. But right now, it's just an issue where MXS are outpacing TTR at this point on TTR's defense. But where they found a lot of value versus Core, though, last week was actually on their attack side as well. So I don't think we could discount TTR yet, but they definitely do need to find a better read on how MXS is currently controlling the map on the attack, because they need to salvage these last few rounds. Pulling out an op is not working out so far, and just making sure that they identify where B-Dog is, force out his early util that we mentioned before, and they could just punish him on that. And you see them trying to be proactive here, so Might have had a timing. Fly was still watching that angle, but he decides to fall back with the rest of his team. And this might be just a full all-out hit this time around, because he's going to use the same secrets like he did on Sands before, but this time there will be bodies behind it to follow.
Oh, and Adder, I think he's been seen. Looked like an elbow or a wrist was still sticking out. Vic immediately locked in it. Dizzy goes over the top. It gets immediately destroyed. Stellar over the top. Can't really find the pixel peak. Mosh to slow things down. Weeded backing up over towards Hookah, but that will be enough of a read here for MXS to hit the teleporter. And now you've got executable energy over towards A. It's just the barrier orb for B-Dog to hide behind, and oh my gosh, tons of damage, but only finds the first kill, and the plant will come through.
And delayed enough here. Here's a fight towards Showers. Corey's going to win it. So an opportunity now for TTR to pinch from both sides to take the map on A.
Not great news here for Troop. Got to win a bunch of 1v1s and then scale that into a second, and it's just not happening. Stellar taken down over towards Heaven. Obviously, Corey's position now known, and maybe the only thing that could possibly deter this setup is if Weeded could find an entry back in and get Corey at a deeper angle. Nice opening shots, but Weeded will drop. Little flashback play. Corey, goodness. Still a chance at this 1v1, but so much of this site still to navigate. Smoke in play. Corey waiting for the peak. Predicts it correctly, but no time like you mentioned. So impressive from Corey to get forward, but MXS still get the round.
Also very impressive on Vic, too. He was actually under pressure by Corey the whole time, jiggled through. It was a 1v1 fight around the Showers. And then when the paint shells came out, I was like, you know what? I'll just go help the rest of my teammate, and got the pick there onto Stellar, which made it harder there for TTR to retake after. But this shot was clean. And I don't think Corey maybe realized that he had paint shells after that second kill, and maybe could have thrown it on the tap to force out the opponent a little bit more quickly, and maybe get that audio cue from the footsteps if you're trying to dodge the paint shells. But it is what it is. A round that could have been clean enough, but another very nice last second pivot from Moisek Shopify going through the TP and taking control of that A site.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this has not been a great stat line in terms of the scoreboard here for Troop on their opening defense. Showstopper's going to come through as Corey tries to force something out, but he's going to get detained inside of the teleporter. Oh, and it goes from bad to worse. That much? Oh, okay, never mind. That goes from worst to the worst wrist. Unreally. Wow, unreal stuff coming through for MXS.
I love these days. I love these days when the English vocabulary is like on par as mine with my 3 languages.
Well, we forced that one, because how do you go from bad to worse and then worse to even more worse?
Yeah, that's true.
Dramatic.
That's true.
Spike planted.
Well,
there's
Stellar
one.
definitely in a position to get this difficult. Dizzy will not find the connection. Wingman also out. Stellar, can he get the high ground? Sure can.
God.
Wow. I mean, Trooper are giving themselves a go at these 1v multiples, but it's just too little too late.
1 second where Fly was maybe 2 more steps behind. That was actually very doable. A nice little read coming out from the IGL once again. And this, I respect it, you know? It was another one of those plays. Remember a couple of rounds ago when I said Weeded's trying to break that gap so he could throw the orbital strike onto the one that's in the Thrash, which is Brock. And then now you have a showstopper that unfortunately hits the wall in front of you, the double stack, and there you go, that 4 damage that I was talking about, right? But then he was able to turn the Thrash well enough to actually get the detain instead of picking it up towards the end. So a nice, once again, on-the-fly call and decision-making from MXS. And yeah, you're looking in a pretty dire spot right now, hoping to at least get one more round.
Yeah.
Judge available for B-Dog, Rez. He's going to try to play it towards U-Haul to avenge his teammates, maybe.
Corey, a little step back into the mix, and he finds one at range. That slows down the hit, and Weeded follows up on the exit. So, okay. Troop working with whatever they can buy is coming up pretty decent for now. First time we could actually talk about Troop having numbers for a while. 5v3 situation, 60 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, now they could actually swing out so that B-Dog could upgrade his weapon. There you go. Just picked up the Vandal just by the body there of Vic or Otoshima, I think, that was trying to lurk up. So the last 3 trying to work all together, though, is going to get all that information spotted by the Nightfall as soon as they start making some noise. But they've still been very good for the last second rotate towards this A site through the TPs. But now that you're playing 5-on-3, you're playing the numbers, everything should be in a good position here for you to win this round for TTR.
Nightfall, though, does not encompass Mata, who nearly wins elbow completely. If he wins that, and we get to a 3v3,
yeah,
definitely becomes more manageable for sure. This is still not out of the realm of possibility because lurking at elbow is Flya. He still has a flash available.
The tether knows that Brox is inside hookah, though.
Yeah, but he's still on an angle. He can watch over the top of it, but Fire will drop. There is the bait off of the res plus the orbital strike because you can't, if you don't spend it now, you can't take it with you. And Stellar will get the defuse. So 9-3 half. And I mean, outside of the fact that Troop is not going to feel good about the scoreboard, I mean, it really just came down to the fact that the gun rounds, a couple of things didn't go quite their way.
Yep. Pistol rounds are always very momentum based, right? So there were cold shots coming out from their Turtle Troop at the beginning of the round or at the beginning of the game. And if they're able to land those now in this second half, then maybe it's a different story. But right now, it's definitely the story that's being told by most at Shopify since the first rounds. I mean, it took a lot for you to be able to get that last round. To salvage 3 here for TTR. 4 players, 4 MXS on the A site. Playing the delay here for Otoshima inside B. Looks like he was getting ready for a poison orb right into the entrance of hookah. So he could maybe try to start jump spotting to see if there's anything coming through from there. And if not, then he could start using the wall towards B instead.
Yeah. That's something we saw pretty regularly, right? I mean, just the ability to enforce a plant is just so deadly. And Troop offensively looked really, really good versus Core. Need that here. MXS, I think the question will be when we get to gun rounds, how much will they try to play forward and deny that what was very easy plant for Adder? But we'll have to wait to consider that as the pistol starts to unfold over towards B for now.
Yeah, and Vic's a little bit too far here to throw some smokes towards hookah. Yeah. So if there's actually going to be a pop from TTR, Otoshima might be in a tough spot. But if he finds a perfect timing and puts the wall maybe abruptly, now that we're under a minute, oh yeah, they're just going to TP through against the 4 stack.
Yeah, but 50 seconds on the clock, you've got to commit to this. Dizzy will find one, but that's a wall down that kind of blocks them off. Gets reinforced.
Oh, they missed the wall.
TTR still trying to work their way in here. I mean, this is not comfortable for Troop. You have to back all the way out again and try to hit this through mid, which is being watched by Brock. Support is here from Otoshima. Everyone's in position here for MXS. I mean, this has not gone according to plan for Troop. 20 seconds on the clock. Last second rotate. I mean, they have to sprint to B. At least Corey finds one, but if Otoshima takes down the spike carrier,
it's over.
That's round.
10 seconds left.
So here comes the play out. Otoshima pops through, stops the plant, but Adder picks it up. Should be enough to get this down, and it just barely is. 2v3 situation, numbers for Troop.
And they're doubling here towards the elbow. Mata's in a tough spot.
Player standing.
Oof.
Wow.
What a round salvaged by TTR towards the end. That smoke that went towards Showers and then a nades being thrown by Mata didn't allow for B-Dog to really set the best wall, even the worst wall, because they couldn't even go for the pixel plant like they did last week against Core. So they had to pivot all the way back and somehow found an opening and found a gap to still be able to punish that single player inside this B site. And Otoshima tried. Another split second, if he actually came through, that would have been the round there, guaranteed for MXS. And that momentum was not off shots at all. It was just off players rushing you under heavy panic, and you're lucky here that there was only that one player from MXS towards that B site.
Absolutely the case.
Oh, I like this.
Defensive screen gets Vic over to the teleporter. Surely it gets red though, and it does. Teleport back. He's got support to get out safely. But numbers now for Troop with guns. You would think that they would immediately try to burst into this as soon as this wall drops again.
They heard one TP also from Hookah, so yeah, that's it. Now they know here that it should be a weaker site, especially doing their due diligence, using all that util towards that site, realizing that nobody's there. Up against pistols, gonna be hard.
And that's why it was also seen on the aggressive taunt in from Stellar too, so.
Yeah.
All things turning up good for Troop on the follow-up after the pistol. Just classics out here for MXS. And you can see what's going on right now. 3 players inside a U-Haul just waiting for a chance to get through the teleporter and sacrifice their lives to the... What is the explosion of the spike? Do we even know the lore of like what it is? Is it like a particle explosion? Like what is it?
Don't ask me about that, dude.
Okay. Someone in chat will surely know.
It has to be with Radonite. It's like a Radonite explosion. It's like a core thing. Dude, don't ask me.
Someone in chat will surely know.
Where's Sinpro when we need them? We'll get that pick. And yeah, I think in the end we saw what TTR did. I said that it was really nice here that Otoshima kind of got spotted on that right side, so that it allowed here Vic to just sneak in on that left side. But that's also the beauty of TTR running out with this composition. When you're an IGL like Stellar, you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence to identify if there's a stack, if there's a trap play, if there's anything. So for using the economy of one Prowler versus the information, you'll take it any days, even if it's against an anti-eco at this point. And their bonus is going to look pretty good, right? They're going to have 2 outlaws now. When they didn't lose the players last time, yeah.
Yeah, definitely deadly. Okay. So far, Troop on their merry way, but what was again, reprisal of a great offense from the last time they played this map. But a lot to be learned here in terms of what does MXS have up their sleeve to try to stop and contest what was very free post plants for Troop when they played up against Core. That's my big question here. We're going to get maybe an early instance of it here.
And leverage a lot of like just storming through here with the Sage Wall just to try to get a little bit more elevation around the util that would be used by the double initiator. And maybe they're going to try to pop through this smoke. They might catch Mata off guard here.
Does drop off the truck. Paint shells go through. They are placed nicely. Molly was also behind that. So things are getting a little bit tight here for Troop, trying to work through the fire and the flames. And Vic able to get one. I thought he looked like he was going to be good for more than that. So Troop only get away with the 1-for-1, but the spike is down. That's the big issue. And B-Dog's been seen on the high ground play. Brock, though, getting isolated until Mata covers.
30 seconds
and
left.
all of a sudden, this Troop offense has to make its way through U-Haul. Not what you want to do.
Oh.
Double for Brock. B-Dog last one up. And yeah, nice opportunity to try to get a couple of kills, but that's just MXS shutting it down, and I think generally just great defensive utility to make sure that spike plant was more tested.
Yeah, and I feel bad for TTR. It almost feels like what? Did somebody die like the wingman or something, and the wall came up, and then the spike started bouncing off the Sage Wall and the APC, so they landed towards the back of the site, not allowing TTR to really move through to pick it up. I mean, look at that. Wingman's running through. Go ahead, little buddy. And then the Sage Wall came up. He dies, and then now somehow it's on the other side. So or it bounced off the APC, or he just missed the right click for Adder on where to place it. But at least for now, they're trying to surprise for MXS on a double push from both shorts. But it ends up being a 1-for-1.
Okay. Quick round coming through, it looks like, for the moment. Offense going to re-wrap over to join with Corey, who is already taking a lot of space here at B. And those paint shells actually are going to separate the defenders that are nearby. Brock going to commit to getting into sight. Whereas Mata not sold that this is going to be a full B wrap. It's time that's being ticked off the clock here is going to give Troop a bit of an entryway on towards B without any resistance at all.
But Brock might have a timing to come through here, so he's making sure that nobody's going to clear towards this area and has an opportunity to even flank all the way from long B, and especially with all that utils being cold. Rotate's going to be very late from MXS, though. Oh, it's going to get checked.
These two. He would have to get these two.
No charges left.
Yeah. Now we're just throwing shoulders.
Yeah, everybody's going to save now.
Yep, absolutely. But you can definitely tell MXS want to get aggressive. I mean, they're trying to take over parts of the map early. I think that is kind of a nomenclature of you don't want to allow Troop to get these free post plants to reinforce the barrier orb, so try to take as many out of the picture as you can. That time doesn't quite work out, though.
An opportunity now to actually have the economy build up here on the side of TTR. Corey and B-Dog potentially could be working in tandem to try to get a res or an ult up in the next round. But I like this. After the TP, they're just staying inside there, trying to... I mean, there's a couple of shots landing, but...
Okay.
All right, we're able to save our weapons. And I like it at least, right? TTR, they still have to play a little bit more cautiously against MXS because of how this story has been unfolding so far for the advantage of, and the side, sorry, of Moisex Shopify. They haven't really figured out how TTR is working this map yet for the defensive side, but they are at least adding another body instead of playing this 4-1 that they did since the pistol round. Because this is definitely a round where TTR could actually activate a little bit more quickly, especially with the Thrash being ready. And they're already going to use it here for a fake towards the A site. Spike's moving towards B. Once again, only one defender towards this B site, and that's going to be Flya.
But at the same rate, this is not really fooling MXS. I mean, Flya's just kind of watching the hookah push. That blast pack's going to give away that this is for sure a fake. Defensive wall will go up for Otashima. So now you've got Flya watching one side of the cross. A little bit of a stack over towards the B entryway for the defense. And Troop now at 60 seconds. You don't want to get picked here. Oh, I was about to say maybe a chance to kill Noise and try to pull the defense back to A. But with those eliminations, now you essentially have to commit. Although, Stellar will get into U-Haul here. So maybe there is a chance in to rewrap this. But the defensive numbers have Vic still holding over towards A, at least remotely.
It would have sold so much better if TTR was actually committing towards B site control at the beginning, but to try to get a timing through a Thrash and a fake wingman towards the A site, you didn't really, you still saw some players rotating across. It was still only Flya by himself at the beginning, but as soon as Otashima pulls up his wall, he's able to rotate more quickly and not allow here TTR to really get out. So now with 23 seconds left, they realize at this whole time that Stellar hasn't been contested towards U-Haul, so it will still have a plant coming down. No U-tilt to stop it because the pain shells are all the way towards the elbow of B.
Now, if you've watched Challengers North America, you know that MXS are one of our stronger retake teams in the game. That will be tested here. Just the one flash, one smoke, and a molly. It's all that's left for the defense. On the other side, a single seize for Stellar. Everything else is just going to be who shoots better. Here's the first swing. We did just get one for free. Doesn't get the second, though. So 3v2. Stellar still holding on towards this U-Haul position. And now lots of questions. Molly kind of gets into the corner, but not fully.
One enemy remaining.
Here's the full follow-up, and yeah, the crossfire setup is perfect for Troop. So, again, making orange juice out of oranges, or whatever you want to say.
Lemonade out of lemons or something? When life
something like
gives you
that.
lemonades.
I wanted to try something different than lemons and lemonade.
Wait, life doesn't give me lemonades. Life gives me lemons. Anyways, yeah, if anything, the util that was being used by Stellar was actually really good. You mentioned it. He still had a seize left, and that seize was good enough to delay and also spread a little bit the players that were trying to funnel towards the back of the site into U-Haul, which allowed here we did to get one sidestep, one kill, but then maybe an overheat against Vic towards the top of heaven, but still enough for Stellar to isolate a 1v1 towards U-Haul. And then that 2 versus 2. Stellar had a haunt that came out at the last second, threw that up, so it forces the players to break that haunt, and they went for the crossfire setup to get the kills, and even Stellar picked those up. So that was super nice. Like I said, this should have been a round, actually, for TTR to win. This was a 5 versus 3, if I'm not mistaken, or at least a 4 versus 3.
4 versus 3.
Yeah, when MXS were able to really hold out the flank, or hold out the fake rather, and also get 2 kills inside hookah, not really giving a chance for Turtle Troops to take control of any portion of that B site. But somehow they seemed to be so committed that the re-hit was going to happen from TTR that they didn't rotate until the plant happened towards this A site. But Stellar was already set up, and he already had all the info that nobody was going to come through. And when they don't hear any TPs coming across this late after a plant, you know they're all going to be funneling towards spawn. So
yeah,
it allowed for you to play a little bit more aggressive as well, and out in the open like we did.
Well, it's Sheriffs and Vandal now for MXS. Troop still flexing this very potent offense. Defense doing what they can to try to hold off this B play, but the opening slorb, you saw where that landed. Front side octagon plus the wall behind it, but that is a free weapon for Vic. And Mata may get a 1v1 versus Adder, but the shots aren't perfect. They're good, but they're not great. So Adder will get down to 40 HP, backs off the angle, but still at least one weapon collected, and Otashima finds another. I mean, why are we giving isolated 1v1s to Sheriffs?
That's actually a default round for TTR, and you're just basically, can you even call this anti-defaulting? You're just trying to isolate those 1v1s, and you're playing against Sheriffs. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it don't. So we'll take it. Now we're finally grouped up to stop the bleeding. It's going to be a 3-man push potentially towards this B site. But the crossfire setup's still there.
Yeah, and Vic gets caught trying to sprint over through Spices. So now the teleport goes back, knowing that was the defender at A. And Stellar will hear the sandy footsteps of Fly on the rotation through. So he'll continue on this lurking route. There's a better wall.
Yeah. I mean, there's
And
still
that
a
will
gap
lead
in
to
there, but
tough
we'll take it.
post play. Yeah.
And
It's one
Corey
of those,
has
like,
a
you don't want to
showstopper.
feel that twice in a row.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But 4 versus 2, I mean, if they force out a showstopper here for MXS, there you go. I mean, that's a small dub. That's definitely a small dub right now.
Well,
One enemy
you
remaining.
don't ever want to just force a showstopper to kill a little buddy, but it is working out. Brock, what in the world? Oh my goodness, he had the snap to Stellar, but there was a wall in his way. Pardon me, to Corey. But there was a wall in his way.
Yeah.
He did some late round heroics. Come
Yeah.
pretty damn close for both sides, but
First from
the
Stellar,
offensive
now from
onslaught
Brock.
continues.
Yeah, super nice. And at the end, yeah, like you said, sometimes you don't want to force a showstopper to kill a little buddy, but at the same time, you're trailing behind 3-9 so far for TTR and a half. So you've shut down the opportunities that MXS have been having since your gun round, right? It was a bonus against a gun round. You lost that one, but ever since then, it's been you once again for TTR finding that success on the attack side that we mentioned before. This is a composition somehow for TTR that makes it worse. That makes it work rather with these Sage Wall plants and denying here utility out from MXS. But look at how early this flank is coming though from Playa.
A very proactive orbital strike coming out of the offense. You talked about the flank, that's one part of it, but can MXS stall out the plant a little while longer to get value out of this cave flank? On the flip side, does TTR try to take an extra step into the deep side of the site? Doesn't make a difference, the flank is dead. And so now for MXS, you have to thrash your way in and then maybe get a Viper's Pit if you can get to a good spot for it, but there's still so much clearance we have to do, and Troop are not giving you any time or space. So well done by TTR, and Brock has no option but to back off and try to hold his life as long as possible, and he will take one with him.
Yeah, it was very suppressive for TTR. I mean, you're pulling an orbital strike towards the back right side of the site. You're forcing MXS to fall back and have to play the retake. But unfortunately, the one that could help you start with the retake is the one that's flanking with that initiator util being Flya. And it makes sense at that point, right? When you have sometimes somebody jump spotting towards long B, it's usually your Sky or your Gecko. And when you realize that there's nothing coming through and you might have a timing, you're going to take that timing. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And those walls you saw this time around too, it's not to delay any plans, but we've seen that wall before. It's been used to block towards U-Haul, but last week when they play against Core, they could also leverage double boosts to look back towards Heaven.
Yep.
And that's an extra layer and an extra angle that MXS has to pay attention to when they're going to start these retakes. But this is a silver lining though, Shift. We have an opportunity to at least regain the lead back by 2 because we have a lot of ults to work with on the side here of MXS, but it's a half shield buy, so a forced buy for a lot of these players with the exception of Brock. And they're trying to minimize the amount of angles and pressure here that TTR could take.
Now Odoshima just throws up the pit, makes sure there is no immediate push through hookah, and then steps back in to keep the smoke integrity up. So it'll be a 3-2 split here on the defense, with a little bit of a peek from Mata in towards Showers. If he can feel comfortable in that position, Troop are going to be battling up against quite a bit, but you would have to think at some point if they are going to get an opener, it would be by way of the Thrash starting things off. And if Stellar can get a kill while this is going on, late Nightfall could win this round flat out.
Yeah. Still a great start, though, for MXS. You've denied the orb here towards Long B that Stellar looked like he wanted to take because you saw that they were trying to do a Prowler slow orb, and maybe they had more util behind it or an aggressive ult that they could use against that pit. It would have been a different story. And now you're going to try to use the Thrash to fake towards B instead of the Wingman to come through. The mod is ready.
And this will get rid of the pit. Oh, the orbital strike is so well placed. They predict Adder perfectly. Still a trade over towards the other side, though, where all the action's starting to unfold. Seeker's going to get here late. Wall goes up. And Vic finds an elimination on the B-Dog. With the wall reinforced, Nightfall earned. That's going to be spent immediately. Corey needs to find a kill, and he does. So now to a 3v2 situation. Tough pretense for MXS to work through this wall, and that's the power of the battle sage. Exhibit A right there and then.
And also, yeah, it looked like it was a good orbital strike to take down Adder, but on the side of TTR, you're going to take that any day. Because the orbital strike to take down the fake, and you don't have an orbital strike to deny the plat towards the A site where the hit actually came from, it gives a lot of room to breathe here for Turtle Troop to really execute towards this A site. So unfortunately there, Odoshima And the rest of MXS thought that they had a good read of what they could do here with these 4 ults to capitalize on that round. But we still have, once again, some great IGL fakes being called out by Turtle Troop that now allows the team to tie up the game 10-10. I'm going to be deciding, are you buying around this? Yeah, exactly. Are you buying around this because you saved a Vandal in that previous round? We talked about the force buy that they had. There was only like one player that had 2,300 left. And I think that was Vic or Brock, because they're still pretty rich right now in this half buy that they have. So they're just trying to make it right. TTR has an opportunity now with the momentum of the second half to close out the series, or sorry, close out the first map. But MXS, they have to come up huge now with these 2 rifles that they invested.
I mean, yeah, the expense behind these last 2 rounds is immense. You used 4 ultimates in the last round, lost it, and now you're force buying into a Vandal and a Showstopper. But this is the first time we've seen MXS really be able to get through showers, and there's a lot of presence for them kind of watching each other's crossfire setup here. So the longer they can move through this, the more that they'll be pretty certain that there will be at least an early intention towards B. It just comes down to, will they commit to this troop, or will they back out and teleporter? If that happens, there's no one defending A.
Wanted to late enough, at least for the first swing to come out, but unfortunately, Flya only had a stinger and couldn't go for the clap. Into the overextension, into the octagon. Big flash.
They don't, Corey doesn't see the flank though. It's on the way. Onishima can only find one. Corey with the check. Shut down by the pistol. Mata now Showstopper and a potential rifle to use, but Vic gets read towards B long. And now Mata, I mean, again, you find yourself on the last one up. I want to make this punishing, but I also want to save, whoa, hold on. Save the rifle. Another late round heroic moment here. Paint shells not fully able to connect onto Adder inside the container, but Mata giving him a workout. 26 HP. A bullet from just about anything will give him out of the picture. Just down to how do they check it. Here comes the blast pack in, and Adder right there waiting for it will get Troop to 11 and their first lead of the game.
Hey, it would have been that story, as you mentioned before, that Showstopper that was still available for Mata, and that was probably the biggest winning condition if MXS were able to get these picks here inside this B site, because they have had those rifles in there getting ready to go for those picks. But getting that smoke out from We did. Actually, I think that was a defensive smoke by Vic, actually. They're trying to stay alive around the crossfire setup there. But they were punished by it because we saw that a couple of them were blinded once we finally had the execution coming in from TTR. And that just unfortunately doesn't allow here for MXS to get the best value out of these 2 rifles and the Showstopper in their favor. But at least they have a chance now to tie up the game.
The Showstopper, the only difference maker in terms of ultimates. The flash comes through really well done by Flya. How many can he find? Only one. Troop mitigate the damage. Showstopper out, and it does connect on the B-Dog. Actually, hits him right in the chin. Stellar trying to isolate the corner. That does well. Again, keeps this offensive play alive, if only just barely. Wait, long play through elbow. Brock, so focused on Weedon in the sight, and now all of a sudden, it's just the defenders playing inside a hookah in a 2v2.
And now you just have to play patient so far. Molly goes down. You still have 2 smokes for Vic. That's at least 40 seconds right now for MXS once they start cycling these smokes. So it's going to render it very difficult here. And the only thing you can really do for Weedon and Stellar is just wait for the haunt to come up. And now it is. And they might have to try to swing with it or just pick it up. They gave it up here for MXS. They want to rotate across the other side. But look at that. They're just going to plant for a spawn.
Yeah, why not? And you have nothing
and he has ult
in terms of utility for MXS. Orbital strike at the ready for Weedon. Tries to swing, sees the
Just
information, calls it out, and immediately pops it. It's going to force Mata in towards elbow, which Sneller's there waiting for him. Just down to 1. Vic for the 1v2. Stim beacon out. Has to try to find where Weedon has gone.
Yeah.
And here comes the check. Not gonna happen. How about the frickin' Turtle Troop offense on Bind? Holy cow.
Yeah, definitely coming out of their shell now on the second half. Oh no, I did it. I did the same pun as last week from somebody in chat. It's okay though. It's okay. It's okay. But I love here, at least on that 2 versus 1, that you just had Stellar continuously jumping around towards the elbow so you could try to bait out some shots and try to bait at least where Vic could be coming from. And Vic did his own sidestep just to make sure that he could try to find where the last 2 players are, but he got checked easily there by Weeded. And somehow we have a map point for TTR. MXS only having 1 round so far on their defensive side, and they're just trying to crunch in, and they do get the picks.
What a call. I mean, you're looking at map point, and for the first time, you're going to make a teleporter aggressive play through B right into the face of a handful of players that just did not even remotely expect it. And are just going to give it the good old-fashioned college heave-ho try. Not going to work. Flawless round for MXS, 12-11.
Of course, it was going to be a game here that was going to go down to the wire in the first map. But I'm pretty sure with the amount of rounds that we've had for TTR, 11 so far, or sorry, 10 so far, they definitely have the econ.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, they don't have the ult econ while Brock has his. So I think it's going to be very, very important to try to take orb control on either ends. And you're already seeing Vic is looking to potentially just drop an early smoke inside showers.
Yeah.
So you just can't give it up to Corey here.
Yeah,
Haunt, Prowler, yeah, trying to push them back.
But here's the peek over mid, and 1-for-1 goes the exchange. Thrash trying to make its way through. Dizzy also part of the banana. A late shoulder check, and he takes the head off of Flya. So after the opening engagement, it'll be numbers for Troop. But Vic, what? From the back corner of the site, somehow gets 2 on the cross. Spike will still be planted. Showstopper earned for Corey. Onishima in trouble. Loses sight for now. Around the corner. Showstopper out, but Odor is able to find the kill on a Stellar. Just down to the 1v1. Corey clearing out showers. Does not want to sacrifice his life. It's a bullet for either of them. 30 HP plays 30 HP. Corey has to check.
The mind games.
Calls it. Calls that it's a fake. Here's the second pull. Odorous seems to know that Corey's playing in showers. There's the check, but Corey swings it wide enough, and Odorous gets taken down. A 13-11 and a comeback of the ages for Troop.
Another one of those moments where Corey doesn't shoot his showstopper just to make sure that he can't let his opponent know where he's going to be coming from as soon as he start tapping that spike. But man, did we have a chess match on that last round. Vic almost saved that, at least there for MXS, and trying to bring it into overtime. But we've seen some good attack sides from both teams, but unfortunately just one less for MXS, which allowed TTR to take the first map.
Wow. Unreal stuff. We waited a long time to get that, but it was a barn burner when we got it.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
Absolutely the case. Troop saved their map pick. We got map 2 coming up. We'll head to a quick break it down for you right after this. Don't go far.
PRX. I'd probably say, Leviathan has a good bundle, especially their card. I like C9's like classic, but their card's not as good. So I'd say Lev's up there. There's a lot of teams with good cards. Like G2 is a good card in classic.
Either Liquid has the best bundle or PRX. I like Liquid obviously for historic reasons, but I like the PRX colors especially. I think they look really cool in game. Like it's like the purple pink color, so I like their kind of colors the best, I think.
The best VCT bundle, I'd have to give it to T1. I think they got the best banner and their classic skin's nice. So, and shout out to Rossi on T1. That's my boy.
That's a great question. I like certain pistols, and then I like for example, I like the Cloud9 pistol. I think the Cloud9 pistol looks really nice. And then for like the actual picture, I think the Talon one's really cool. To be honest, that one's really cool. And I also like the Cloud9 ones still. Like that's just like the idea, it's the blue, the cloud. Like I've always been a fan of that, of their logo. So.
Oof, the best VCT bundle. I'll go by a couple rankings here. Card-wise, Genji. The classic itself, I think I want to lean towards like Cloud9 or DRX. And then I guess like ranking the spray is kind of hard, but because all the buddies are kind of like the same as well. But I think Cloud9 again. I like the logo. I think it's good.
The best VCT bundle would be T1. I like their card a lot. Yeah, I like their card and the colorway on the classic.
The best bundle, I'd have to say, I personally like DRX is the best. I like their player card and classic. The colors just go really well. But I feel like the popular answer is just going to be Sentinels. So I'm going to go away from that. So I'm going to say DRX.
I like Genji's VCT bundle a lot. their card is good and their classic is good, and that's not true of everyone's.
Face.